Yep.
Oh, we're live. There we go.
There
No,
we
no
go.
lag. No lag. All right, guys, welcome back. Another episode of Ladies First. This is episode 16. I am your host, Amber Vickers. And today we have a very, very special guest. I'm wanting to talk to him about this subject. I texted him about it about 2 weeks ago. You were on vacation. I said I'm gonna let him go on
Yep.
vacation, and we're gonna bring all this to the show. So I'm gonna let him introduce himself. We're gonna pay some bills, and we're gonna jump right into it. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I am Garrett from Iowa. You can find me on Twitter at Garrett from Iowa. Also on Sportscaster on the same tag. I kind of try to keep everything the same name. I have the People's XFL show airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern. Me and Midnight Moose break down XFL and basically anything pro football that's not NFL. So we got a year to go before the XFL season starts. So we're doing a little bit of filler stuff, but great show, good time. We've had a few guests on and we're working on getting that going again. And then I randomly hop on and do Hawkeye streams and gambling picks and stuff like that. So yeah, just give me a follow. I keep my Twitter very active. So
Very much so. I love it. I love it. Today, I'm going to tell you guys what we're going to talk about. But first, we're going to pay some bills. Check out, let me put that on the ticker so you guys can see it. All right, check out teespring.com/stores/unwrapped. I almost say USN, but it's unwrapped. And I retweeted some of my gear that I got. I got some joggers and I got a little pouch. But I will be buying more stuff. My bank account might not like me, but this is the support we're giving. I got my Unwrapped Sports t-shirt on right now. This is one of the first purchases I made. I have this in black and in gray. I will be purchasing more things, so you guys go check that out. And also, if you like to gamble, a lot of sports going on right now. MyBookie.ag. Use the code USN100 to double your first deposit. Corey and Alex, Bets Unwrapped on Saturdays now. Used to be on Fridays, but now it's on Saturdays. Also, Unwrap These Bands is coming back. It's making a comeback. So I am praying that they come back. And also, they're going to help me with the hoops bets. So once we get the hoop pod started, Andrew and I, they're going to help me with the hoops bets as well. Also, sore, achy muscles. It's getting cold outside. We're not as young as we used to be. We go work out. We're sore. We need some cream to rub those muscles out. rxhemp.com. Use the code rxhemp/USN and get 10% off of your order. All right. Whew. That was a mouthful.
yeah, I was about to say that USN stuff. It is really really nice stuff. It looks good too, but I have to keep buying more stuff because my wife keeps stealing it all. So
we got stuff on there for the ladies too. You know, we have stuff on there for women and men. I think. Do we have anything on there for dogs yet?
I have not seen anything for dogs yet.
Okay, but I'm pretty sure that's coming. But man, college football, college sports in general. We're talking about football today.
Yes.
College football. We're going to start with the Big Ten. We're going to start with the Big Ten. Now, you're an Iowa's Hawkeye fan, so you're playing in the Big Ten.
Yep.
So, what are your feelings and thoughts about what the Big Ten decided to do with the Iowa State situation? Ohio State situation.
It's what they had to do if they had any hope of getting in the playoff. This is the first time in my life I've really had any strong opinions on the Big Ten commissioner, and we need to fire that idiot. He has just done a terrible job from the get-go. Right. And I don't know why we started our season later than everybody else. It made absolutely no sense, and it made him look like a fool. And then the 6-game minimum made sense at the time, and Wisconsin got eliminated. They couldn't be in the championship, and everybody was just kind of like, oh, well. And then Ohio State gets eliminated, and they're like, oh, man, we can't have that. And I don't even know what kind of spin they're trying to put on this because there isn't one. Kevin Warren basically made a big old fit about how player safety comes first while his kid was on campus in Mississippi playing college football. He said that we couldn't have college football because it was unsafe. Then got caught out and started the season up late, put everybody in the Big Ten in a bad situation. And then as soon as his darling Ohio State couldn't play for the championship and looked like they were going to miss the playoff, he changed the rules for them. They threw players say everything they had said, and I'm not even arguing whether or not they're right or wrong, but everything they had said about player safety and competitive fairness, and we aren't in this for the money. We're in this to take care of our kids. Just went straight out the window so that they could put Ohio State in the championship game and get them into the playoff and make their money.
I agree with you. I know you have strong opinions about the Big Ten because I have strong opinions about the Big 12. So when I saw that they changed the decision, I said it's a money grab. They want a team in the college football playoff. Now, could Northwestern get there? Do they have the resume to get there? I'm not sure. I'm not quite sure if they do.
I can argue that both ways.
Okay.
In reality, though, they're at number 14 right now, and even if they beat Ohio State, I don't think they're going to jump Cincinnati. And they got Cincinnati ahead of them. They're going to go undefeated. Texas A&M is going to be a one-loss team. And this gets into the scenario thing a little bit, too, as far as like what happens. But if Clemson beats Notre Dame, then you got a one-loss Notre Dame team sitting right there that doesn't have a conference championship, and I don't think Northwestern would jump them either. Even if if Ohio State didn't play and Northwestern beat Indiana, no possible way. But even if Northwestern beats Ohio State, all that does is takes the Big Ten out of the playoff picture completely.
Wow. So you don't see a Northwestern getting in. Let me tell you what I did.
I like them, but they're 14 right now. You really think they're going to jump 10 spots by beating Ohio State?
It's 2020. That's all I have to
say. That's an unfair argument because you could say that about anything. You could be like, well, if Oklahoma beats Iowa State and only has 3 losses, they could get in. It's 2020.
I mean, they threw a scenario out there where Oklahoma could get in because I think they accounted for those players that were suspended. And Ramondre Stevenson and Ronnie Perkins have made a huge difference in the offense and the defense. But that's neither here nor there. I threw another scenario out there that, say, for instance, Florida beats Bama in the SEC championship, and you could have 2 SEC teams in. I threw that out there on my show a couple weeks ago. And then I forgot that would be dicey because they want Bama in. You already know they do. And I threw a scenario out there where ACC could probably get 2 teams in, maybe SEC could get 2 teams in, and Big Ten could get 2 teams in. But I didn't know that, Ohio State and Michigan want to cancel their game. Now,
you want to hear the 2020 nightmare scenario?
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Florida beats Alabama and wins the SEC. Clemson beats Notre Dame to win the SEC. Northwestern beats Ohio State to win the Big Ten. Iowa State beats Oklahoma to win the Big 12. And Cincinnati beats Tulsa to go undefeated.
Ooh.
So you have 6 teams at the top out of ACC, SEC, and Big Ten, all sitting with 1 loss apiece.
Do you think Pac-12 would? I said Oregon was the only team that had a chance to get in, and they lost in Corvallis to Oregon State a couple weeks ago.
That's when I keep flipping my screen back because I have an article I just sent in to get edited where I discussed all the different scenarios, and I didn't even include Oregon in any of them just because of that loss to Oregon State. I think the Pac-12 was done as soon as Oregon State lost. That was their only hope was to have as soon as Oregon lost.
Okay.
Yeah, their only hope was to have Oregon run the table to even be in the discussion.
So no USC. You don't think USC is good enough?
I don't think they're. What's their best case scenario? They go 7-0.
Yeah, who would they play in the Pac-12? They're in the Pac-12 South. So who would they play in the Pac-12 North?
I think it's still Oregon.
It's still Oregon?
Yeah, because I think Oregon's only lost to 1 game.
So Oregon State, okay. Yeah.
Let's see here. Mountain Sun. I don't like alphabetical. Okay, Pac-12. USC is 4-0 right now.
Mm-hmm.
So what would they be? 6-0 if they win a championship?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean you got Colorado.
Mm-hmm. They talked about that game.
Yeah, they're at 3-0 too, but
yeah.
Oregon has 2 losses now, so you'd be looking at Washington at 3-1, would be at 5-1 if they win.
Who did Oregon lose to?
I don't know. I missed that, which I quit paying attention basically after Oregon State beat them. But
are we not paying attention to Oregon?
California got them last week. I forgot
They
about
lost
that.
to Cal?
Yeah, they lost to Cal.
Holy cow.
Oregon is dead.
Oh my goodness.
I personally think the Pac-12 is dead regardless of who wins.
Okay. So now we're looking at, I don't think the Big 12 is going in with 2 losses. I just don't see it. Now we're looking at a 1 loss, either Big 10 team, maybe, possibly ACC team, 2 teams from those 3 conferences, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big 10 getting in. That's what I feel. Maybe Cincinnati gets in. Coastal Carolina beats BYU. That's crazy.
I don't think Coastal will get in though. I don't think they have the resume.
Okay. So
I like Iowa State to get in most situations.
Okay. No, over an undefeated Cincinnati team.
They have. Oh, let me get back to where I got the actual rankings here. They got Cincinnati 3 spots behind Iowa State right now. So and this is just like me personally, I'd have Cincinnati ahead of Iowa State, but looking at where the committee has them, if Iowa State wins the Big 12, I don't think Cincinnati jumps them.
Yeah, because you're going to beat the Oklahoma team that's rolling right now. So that's
Iowa State. I mean, they had the 2 losses early in the season, but they'll be on a 6-game. If they win the Big 12, it'll be 6 games in a row coming to the end of the year. And they look at that, and conference championships count.
Yeah, they do. I just don't see a 2-loss Big 12 team getting in. That's the only thing. I don't see it because I think the SEC is better. I think the Big 10 is better. I think the ACC is better. So I just don't see a 2-loss team getting in. I think the college football playoff committee would rather put a 1-loss champion. So
if Notre Dame beats Clemson for the second time, Clemson's out because they're 2-loss without a conference championship. Do you think they put Florida in as a second SEC team ahead of Iowa State with a championship?
That's where it gets dicey.
Because I think Iowa State, as long as Notre Dame takes care of Clemson and then Bama and Ohio State both win, I think Iowa State gets that 4th spot.
You think so?
Being the conference championship.
It's the quality opponent they beat too to get there. You know what I mean? Because you beat OU twice.
Yeah, you beat OU twice. You beat Oklahoma State. You beat Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, they got bad losses. I mean, obviously ULL. That was. I was watching that game crying because I'm not I'm not a hater fan. I mean, I want Iowa State to go 11-1 every year. As long as the Hawkeyes beat them, they can win the rest of the game. So I'm happy to see them do good because the rest, and it's partly I'm from Iowa and the rest of the country. And by the rest of the country, I mean like ESPN hates Iowa and hates every team from Iowa. So I love watching Iowa teams do good. But I don't know. I like Iowa State to sneak in there. And if Clemson beats Notre Dame, then Notre Dame gets the 4th spot with 1 loss ahead of a 2-loss Iowa State.
Let me throw another scenario out there. A lot of people are talking about this. Texas A&M.
I don't think they can get in.
You don't think so? Okay.
I like them, and that was one of the things I put in my closing in my summary paragraph. I said unfortunately I don't see Cincinnati or Texas A&M really having a path to the playoff, which is unfortunate because they both had really good years. But with Texas, I mean, because Alabama's got to beat Florida. But then do you put a Texas A&M team that already lost to Alabama in ahead of Iowa State and Cincinnati? Or if Clemson wins, is Texas A&M going to go in ahead of Iowa State and Notre Dame and Cincinnati?
They have them at 6 right now, 5 or 6?
They have them at 5 right now, which I don't understand because I don't see how they get in. I mean, I'm not knocking the team because they've had a really good season. They're a really good team. Just with that loss to being in the same division as Alabama and having, I think their only hope would be that if they had Alabama in the conference championship, which obviously they can't because they're in the same division. So
yeah. You know what? It's going to get really dicey because Cincinnati and Tulsa are canceled. They canceled Purdue and Indiana, and they canceled Texas and Kansas. They canceled OU and West Virginia, which OU was already in anyway. They canceled Michigan and Ohio State. So there's some cancellations here. Oh, they postponed Ole Miss and Texas A&M. They might as well just go ahead and you don't. Can you postpone that? When is the SEC championship in 2 weeks? Because I know the Big 12 championship.
I'm pretty sure everything is in 2 weeks from what I was looking. So, they're having championship weekend 2 weeks from this weekend.
So with that, I don't know. It's so many scenarios to throw out there, man. And it's really difficult for them to make a decision about who they should let in, who they shouldn't let in. Every year it causes controversy. Every year the college football playoff causes controversy. The BCS, that system used to cause a whole lot of controversy. People are like, well, we want an 18 playoff. We want a 16-team playoff, which is a bit much for football, but it is what it is money-wise. We want this.
I think you need to go 8.
Yeah, we want this. We want that. I'm like, okay. So how many teams would the SEC put in that playoff every year? If you look at it right now, if you had 8 teams, we're going to just put this scenario out there. If you had 8 teams in the SEC, 8 teams in the college football playoff, how many teams in the SEC would actually be in that college football playoff? According to the rankings right now, I guess you could say.
If you do the rankings right now, it'd be, well, they don't go off the rankings though, but you'd be looking at Alabama, Florida, and Texas A&M for sure.
Okay.
Let's see. Cincinnati would be
4. Cincinnati would be 4.
Yeah, Cincinnati would. They'd be in the 8th spot, but just SEC teams, you'd be looking at 3 out of 8.
Okay, and then the ACC teams. Now look at it. Miami has 1 loss. Clemson has 1 loss. Notre Dame is undefeated. So do you put those 3 teams in?
I don't think you could. I like the top 8 that they have for a playoff. It'd be Alabama, Notre Dame, Clemson, Ohio State, Texas A&M, Florida, Iowa State, and Cincinnati.
Okay. So a 1-loss Miami. Well, okay. If OU won the Big 12 championship, let's just say if they won it, right?
Then they would get into that. I think if you go 8, you have to give the
champ.
The 5 championship teams get in.
Okay.
The best group of 5 team gets in.
Okay.
And then you have 2 at large.
Okay. So let's say, you're going to throw the Pac-12 in there somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot. You got to get Pac-12 team in there.
Yeah. So you would have, let's say USC just for giggles.
Okay. So, we're going to assume the favorites win.
Okay.
So championships, we'd have Ohio State, Alabama, Clemson, Iowa State.
I'll let you say Iowa State.
Iowa State and USC.
Okay.
And then Cincinnati would get in, has the highest ranked group of 5.
Okay.
And then I think you'd go Texas A&M over Florida because Florida would have a second loss to Alabama. They'd get in at the 7th spot. And then the 8th spot,
Miami?
You could, yeah. I think Miami would sneak in if they stayed with 1 loss there.
Okay, because they play North Carolina this weekend, so that should be. Or they play North Carolina, don't they? Yeah, they do.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is going to be that game is going to be interesting, but we don't have 8 teams. But now let's say, for instance, that I like throwing scenarios out here that BYU did go undefeated. Let's just say that they didn't lose to Coastal Carolina, even though they did. Shout outs to Coastal Carolina. If they didn't lose to Coastal Carolina and you had an undefeated Cincinnati that beats Tulsa, of course they're playing for the championship anyway, I believe. And then you have an undefeated BYU team with a quarterback that's in the Heisman discussion, and they want to see him on TV more. That matters.
Yeah, and I would say BYU gets in ahead of Cincinnati if they hadn't lost to Coastal Carolina.
Woo, really?
Just look at if BYU is staying undefeated right now, they'd have an additional game on the schedule.
Okay.
So they'd have more wins than Cincinnati, even though they're both undefeated.
Okay. Now, do you think that's because of their quarterback, or do you think it's just because because there are different factors and scenarios that you could throw out there? A lot of times people were complaining about the BCS because people are like, oh, who brings a bigger crowd and where and location matters, and things like that, because you always get a Pac-12 team in the Rose Bowl. Of course, it's the Rose Bowl. It's played on the West Coast. So people throw those scenarios out there a lot because the audience matters, the money matters. Now, I don't think they're going to have an audience. Are they going to have people in the stands for the
I I
games?
don't think they're going to. I think I want to say NCAA, but they basically don't run football, so I'm not even sure who the group in charge is. But I think for the purposes of the playoff, they're just going to say no fans because they don't want anybody traveling.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's not like, in Iowa City, they'll let, like right now, though, I'm not sure what the number is, but immediate family of the players in is it. But you're looking at a 50% crowd from Iowa City, Iowa City area that's not traveling.
Okay.
Yeah. So in random game, if you got Florida or Alabama playing Clemson in the Fiesta Bowl in Texas, everybody has to travel to get to that bowl.
Yeah, that's true. That's
So
true.
I think the powers that be, whoever they are, because it's not the NCAA when it comes to football, we'll make that. We'll have a no fan or player families only, just to limit travel.
See, here's my thing. I think you get the New Year's Day 6 bowls. I think you're going to get those. But bowls
Yep.
have been counseling. They've been coming out saying we're not going to play.
Oh, did you hear too? LSU has banned themselves from
Yeah.
postseason competition. Just so if anybody wants to
Really?
invite the 3-7 Tigers to a bowl, they are not available.
They're not available for bowlership. So I have a question. What number of wins qualifies you for a bowl? Are they, because I don't know how many bowls
0.
going to be played. Oh,
They waived it beginning of the season. They waived it.
okay. I wasn't sure about that.
Yeah, no, they waived the bowl requirement, the win requirement for this year.
Wow. Okay.
So that makes it a little bit interesting too, because like you said with attendance, Iowa almost always plays up above their ranking for their bowl position because Iowa fans travel.
Okay.
And so, the money thing plays into the bowls. I don't think so much on the playoff, because if you're one of the top 4 teams in the country, your fans are going to travel in a normal year. But yeah, you get outside those top 4, how your fans will travel, that definitely plays into that. I mean, Iowa State went to a bowl somewhere in Texas last year, and Anheuser-Busch trucked in loads of Busch Light to the city just because there were going to be Iowa people there. Like, I mean, the fans matter when it comes to non-playoff bowl games.
Oh yeah, they do. They do. So they kind of try to set those bowl games up to where, the team is closest, or, they know that they travel well.
Yep.
The NCAA for me, I've always had mixed thoughts about the NCAA, the money grab and things like that. And when I took that course in college about the NCAA, and it just opened my eyes up to how poorly it's ran, in my opinion. It's just they want to be
Preach. You're preaching to the choir here. Let me have it.
they want to be safe, per se, but when you have to, when your state laws don't necessarily match the NCAA's laws, that's when that conflict comes into view. I'll give you a prime example. The University of Oklahoma can have, I think, 25% capacity, I believe. My mom says, "Oh my God, where are the masks?" I said, "Mom, in the state of Oklahoma, they tell you to wear one, but our governor doesn't even wear one. So it's not like he gets on TV every day and says some outrageous stuff,
No
So
governor wears a mask. I don't want to get too political here, but
yeah, it's
the protocols are a joke right now, and
they are.
I, I'm not going to get into like who's right and who's wrong here, but just from a strictly logical standpoint, you got governors recording videos on vacation in Cabo telling people that they shouldn't travel for Thanksgiving because it's unsafe. You got New York City saying that it's unsafe to have people in a church wearing a mask, but they're filming. They got full film crews out without masks on, recording films on the streets of New York City. I mean, I don't care which side of it you come down on. That just doesn't make sense.
Sense. It doesn't at all. So
Like,
when your state laws and then your NCAA laws are not kind of meshing together, it just
yeah,
it's a big cluster dump. That's
yeah.
what I'll say. And
No,
I
nobody knows. Nobody knows.
nobody knows what to do. Nobody knows what to do. But these players are isolated, and they're trying to isolate themselves as much as possible and be as safe as possible. They're being tested. I know the NCAA is spending money on that. The NCAA is also losing a lot of money by not having fans in the stands and things like that. I think they are. I think I read somewhere where they're putting more games on TV to get that sponsorship, that deal money coming flowing through, so they could have more money.
Yeah.
The
And,
money, and
well, it's
ESPN.
a business, and I mean
Yeah,
Iowa alone. I don't know where else, but Gary Barta, Iowa's athletic director, at the time that they canceled football, he announced that they were going to be cutting positions in the athletic department immediately because they were going to be short $100 million. And that's not counting. That's not like Iowa City's economy. That's not the hotels. That's not the bar tabs. That's not the food. That's the University of Iowa alone would
that's
be short $100 million in their operating budget if they didn't play football.
that's steep. The football money is a lot, but you know what else brings in a lot of money? March Madness brings
Yeah,
in. I think it brings in the most money out of everything that's done because
yeah, and
when they didn't play
especially
that last year, oh my goodness, well this year, oh my goodness.
yeah, especially for the NCAA because the NCAA has a much bigger chunk of March Madness because they run the whole show.
Yeah, yeah, and when you don't have that money, that's when the layoffs happen, and things like that. But they have, I will say that the NCAA has done a decent job at the safety protocols. But when I watched OU Texas on TV, I was disgusted. My mom said, "What is going on? Why are there so many people there?" I had no clue. That's our biggest rivalry game. I had no clue it was being played. A, that's bad. B, I had no clue there would be fans there in Texas, but the Texas, we can go back to Texas governor. It's just a mess. But anyway, my mom says, why are they so close together screaming? I said, Mom, I don't know. She's a nurse, so she sees this every day, by the way. Um, and she's like, Amber, they don't have on anything. What are the protocols? I said, the NCAA says that you have to wear a mask, but I don't know how strict they're going to be on that with the
Whoa.
crowds because some crowds wear them and some don't. But I think it's smart not to have fans at all at these bowl games because you don't know what you're going to get from the fans. You don't know if they're going to comply or they're not going to comply. So,
I mean, look at the Notre Dame Clemson game.
oh my God, when the fans rushed the field,
Yeah,
yeah, that was crazy. And I
and,
think Notre Dame put out a statement saying that they were going to do something about those who did it. I said, Mom, my mom says, how are they going to do that? I said, oh, technology is something else.
uh, Notre Dame lost that battle the minute they let the fans in the stands because you knew damn well that the fans were in the stands and Notre Dame beat Clemson. They were they were going over the gates.
Yeah, all hell was going to break loose.
Yeah, you weren't going to stop it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting to see. You got the New Year's Day 6 that I know of so far. Now I'm not sure what other bowl games will be played, but I know for sure you get the New Year's Day 6.
Yeah. And I think
So
there's going to be a push for bowl games coming forward, even if they end up playing more in January than they normally do, just because NCAA is going to want that. The NCAA is going to want that football TV money coming off the games because
oh yeah.
that they get a piece of all of that. So the more bowl games that are played, the better it is for the NCAA because this is amateur sports and athletes don't get paid, and it's not about money.
Now I'm going to no, this was their prediction. I don't want the prediction. I want to see the New Year's Day 6 bowls. Let's see. I'm gonna do CBS Sports. They might be updated. So you got the orange in Miami, the Fiesta in Glendale, the peach in Atlanta, and the cotton in Texas. right? Yes.
Sounds right.
And then you got on New Year's Day, you got the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl. The national championship is in Miami. So
So the Sugar Bowl and the Rose Bowl are the playoff bowls this year.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Now let's look at these bowl games. Your give me your predictions. Who do you think is going where? I thought I took a picture of it. What ESPN or somebody predicted, but I can't find it. I've taken a lot of pictures. I can't.
I was looking at mine earlier. I feel you.
Okay, I was like, man, where to go? But
I had to find a logo picture for some merch. Shout out Unwrapped Store, but yeah, I definitely spent way longer scrolling through my camera roll than I thought I needed to.
yeah, you do that, and that's perfectly fine because I do it as well. Okay, here we go. College football playoff predictions 2021, 2020, 2021. Okay, let's look at them. Oh, goodness. I didn't know all these bowls would be playing. I want to get to the nitty gritty. Let's go to the New Year. Well, hold on. Yeah, let's talk about the New Year's Six. So this is their projection. This is Athlon Sports. This is athlonsports.com. I always give a shout out to where I find my information because, that's what we do. All right, the Cotton Bowl. Says tie-in at large versus at large. So they got projection. Oklahoma versus Florida. Fiesta, the tie-in at large, at large. They have USC in Indiana. Okay. Peach Bowl, at large, at large. They got Cincinnati versus Georgia. Orange Bowl, ACC versus SEC/Big Ten/Notre Dame. Projection, Miami and Texas A&M.
I think Clemson ends up there.
Okay. So you put Clemson in there instead of Miami.
Clemson, Texas A&M. I like that for because I think and maybe Florida gets in there, but if Florida loses to Bama, they're going to be a 2-loss team, and Texas A&M will be a 1-loss. And I like the Texas A&M matchup better.
Okay. And then we have the Rose Bowl. They have Clemson, Ohio State. So they do have Clemson favored on Notre Dame. And then the Sugar Bowl, they have Bama and what? They have Bama and Notre Dame in there. So they have 2 ACC teams. Because they
must be going off the current playoff rankings because right now 1 through 4 is Bama, Notre Dame, Clemson, and Ohio State. And I think either Clemson or Notre Dame drops out of the top 4.
Okay.
After that game.
Okay. So
I think Notre Dame's gonna win. So I think it will be Bama, Notre Dame.
Okay.
And then Ohio State, Iowa State is what I think is going to happen.
Okay. Now, so you're taking a 2-loss Big 12 champ over a 1-loss ACC team?
I think you have to look at the conference championships as playoff games, as playing games.
Okay.
At this point, I mean, if it was going to be a 1-loss Notre Dame team that didn't play in the championship, so they had 1 loss, but they had 1 loss and it was but they won the championship. That's a different deal than you lost the championship.
Okay.
I really because how are you going to put Clemson Notre Dame round 3 in the playoffs? I mean, especially
they got Clemson Ohio State.
Okay, then maybe if Clemson beats Notre Dame, then Notre Dame would get that ACC spot. But I still think whoever loses Clemson Notre Dame is out of the playoff.
Okay.
As far as the playoff goes, I think the Big 12 championship, assuming Iowa State wins and rides that 6-game win streak into the postseason.
Okay. Man, this is going to be. I think this is going to be interesting.
Because, I mean, I could be wrong there too because it's Notre Dame. So
yeah, and I'm looking at where they have. Because they have Oklahoma winning the Big 12 because they have Oklahoma going to the Cotton Bowl against Florida. And they don't have Iowa State on here at all. They got
Well, and
SC and Indiana, Fiesta, and so on and so forth.
yeah, if Oklahoma beats Iowa State and Clemson beats Notre Dame, then Notre
Whew.
Dame gets that fourth spot.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're going to give to Oklahoma. They got too many losses against good teams, not fluke losses.
Okay.
You see the difference there? I mean, you can write off the Iowa State's loss to ULL as the first game of the season fluke loss.
Okay.
But they've beat every good team they've played so far.
Okay. Okay. So, this is going to be interesting. And when you look at it from, athlonsports.com, of course, guys, from their perspective, I think that, but you can't have, could you move? I would flip Florida and A&M. So I would have A&M play at the Cotton Bowl against Oklahoma. That just makes sense. And I would have Florida play Miami in the Orange Bowl. That would be super fun. I would flip that.
Yeah,
I would
and
flip that.
it kind of depends. I mean, 'cause you get into the six, it kind of depends how much they factor in the rankings. But part of why I think Iowa State can get in and Oklahoma can't is because Iowa State's at 7 right now. I think that's
Yeah,
close enough to sneak in.
it is.
Oklahoma, if they win the championship, if Iowa State beats Oklahoma again, they can jump from 7 up into that 4 spot. I don't think if Oklahoma wins, they're going to jump from 11 all the way up to
The 4.
the 4 spot. And that's kind of the same thing with Cincinnati at number 8. I'd have to look. I can't remember exactly. I did have a scenario that they got in, but they're going to need some help. I think 7's the last spot that you can legitimately get in without help.
So they would need Notre Dame to win, right? You think Notre Dame needs to win?
Yeah, because that would put Clemson out of the playoff with 2 losses.
They would need Northwestern and Notre Dame to win. Because if Bama loses to Florida, they're putting I think they're going to put Bama in. I just do.
Oh, yeah. They're going to put Bama in.
They're going to put them in. So you would have 2 SEC teams in Notre Dame and then maybe Cincinnati?
Yeah. If Oklahoma wins, Notre Dame wins, Ohio State wins, and Bama wins, I think Cincinnati can sneak into the 4th spot. But they need Oklahoma to beat Iowa State.
Okay,
to give them, because I don't think if Iowa State and Cincinnati both win, I don't think, especially because right now Iowa State's 7 and Cincinnati's 8. So if they both win, I don't think the committee is going to jump Cincinnati ahead of Iowa State if they both win. Because
the quality win against Oklahoma looks way better than the quality win against Tulsa. Shout out to Tulsa, Oklahoma, anyway. But it doesn't balance out. But yeah, that's what I would do. Is say, for instance, if this is what happens, I would flip. I want to see OU and NM play for the big, that Big 12 love back in the day, Big 8 back in the day, before they went to the SEC. And I want to see Miami and Florida, the in-state rivals play. Like that'd be a good game. That'd be a good game. I think Miami and Florida playing, that'd be a good game. You got Kyle Trask and you got Derek King, and then you got Kellen Mond and you got Spencer Rattler. I would like to see that. Cincinnati and Georgia. How would you feel about that matchup if it happened?
I like it. They're sitting at number 8 and 9 right now. So, and I think it'd be if Cincinnati can. I think the Power 5 has to make a decision after this year because Cincinnati is most likely not going to make the playoff. And UCFF, they had their fake champion T-shirts or whatever they did, however many years ago, when they had the 2 or 3 years in a row that they went undefeated. I can't remember which one it was. And just if Cincinnati doesn't get in this year, which I don't think they're going to, shout out to them. I think they're having a really great season. I just don't think they have enough to get in. I think the Power 5 is going to – there's a group of 5. I heard a really interesting idea the other day. Why doesn't the group of 5 just go and do a deal with 2 of these bowl games to have them locked in for group of 5 teams every year and send the top 4 to those 2 games? So, like this year, if BYU hadn't played Coastal, you'd have Coastal, BYU, Cincinnati, and Marshall.
Okay.
and rank them 1 through 4, and have 1 play 2 and 3 play 4, and just have 2 bowls locked in so that the top 4 group of 5 teams play those 2 bowls every year, and just don't even and just give the give the middle finger to the college football playoff committee and say we don't want none. We're just going to send our top 4 teams to these 2 bowls every year. Because I mean, Coastal Carolina BYU set an ESPNU record for viewership, and
Wow.
it wouldn't have been a record on ESPN, but if that game would have been on ESPN, the ratings would have matched up to any other
Oh yeah.
game.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because people wanted to
So
see that game. People really want. I was surprised it wasn't on ESPN. I was like, what? Who did they have on? I think there were two. Were there 2 blowouts on? Probably.
yeah,
So
so it's just I don't know. I mean, yeah, have an undefeated, which Marshall lost, so they aren't undefeated anymore. But like have an undefeated Cincinnati versus an undefeated Marshall in a bowl game in December when it's the only bowl game on TV. I mean,
yeah.
I'm not a really good test group for this, because if there's a football game on, I watch it.
I'm
I
the same
mean,
way. I'm the
I
same
mean,
way.
I have a preference for certain teams, but
Yeah.
basically, if there's a football game on, it doesn't matter if I like one team or the other. I'm going to have it on TV. I mean, NFL goes on my TV at 11 o'clock on Sunday. It doesn't go off till Sunday Night Football's done.
Same here. Same college football.
Same thing with college. If I'm
Yeah.
at home on a Saturday and the college football show goes on at 10 and it plays college, the TV plays college football all day. And same thing when the XFL was running earlier this year. That's how I got into an XFL show. If the XFL's on, I'm going to watch it.
Yeah. It just is what it is at this point. I mean,
Yeah.
it is what it is. But I really like what the committee is trying to do. But there's always going to be controversy, right? There's always going to be some kind of controversy because things happen that aren't supposed to happen. Like if, let's say, all the favorites lose. All the favorites lose. Let's say they all lose.
Yeah, Florida beats Alabama. Ohio State, or sorry, I'm on the wrong line here, but Florida beats Alabama. Northwestern beats Ohio State. Oklahoma beats Iowa State. Clemson beats Notre Dame, and Cincinnati beats Tulsa. Then you have an undefeated Cincinnati as the only undefeated team in the country.
Against the ranked Tulsa team, by the way.
Yeah, and then you have Florida, Alabama, Ohio State, Ohio State, Northwestern, Notre Dame, and Clemson all at 1 loss. And then you got Cincinnati undefeated.
What would the committee do then?
Yeah, because I mean, where you gonna leave Bama out? Are you gonna leave Notre Dame out? You gonna leave Big Ten out? I mean, because at that point you about got to put Cincinnati in and leave somebody out.
Yeah, you know what? I'll make a bold prediction. This is my bold prediction. I know there's going to be an upset. I just feel like I just feel like there's going to be an upset. I feel it in my bones for some reason, and I don't know why. I just do. Florida's defense is not going to be able to stop Alabama. It's not going to happen, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Bama wins the SEC.
Yep, I'm with you. I don't think I think Bama is real strong for winning it all this year.
Oh yeah, Mac Jones has been playing very well. Without his best weapon, he's played very well. They just plug another receiver in and keep on ticking. And then you can't stop Najee Harris either. And then you have Ohio State and Northwestern. That game intrigues me. That game really intrigues me because Ohio State has played well, but I think Joel Klatt said it best. I don't think they've played their best football yet.
Well, they haven't really played anybody. The only good team they played so far is Indiana, and they scraped out of that one. I mean, they won by a touchdown in the fourth quarter. They could not put Indiana away.
They couldn't. And I was really feeling good about Indiana, and then their quarterback got hurt, and I was like, I really like what Indiana was doing this year. But Northwestern is very intriguing. They're very intriguing. I think that's going to be a tougher game than a lot of people think it is because, like Joel Klatt said, I don't think Ohio State has played their best football yet. I just don't. And now you're getting your first true test, in my opinion. You're getting Northwestern, a team that believes in themselves, a team that nobody really believed in, and they're playing very well. Because a lot of people thought that Penn State, because Penn State was in the top 10 when the season
Yeah,
started.
before they dropped the first 5 games of the season
Oh
for the
my
first time
goodness.
ever.
They just hit a spiral. Like then their players were opting out and things like that, which players are starting to do. If their teams aren't doing well, they're just saying, hey, you know what, we're just gonna
Yep.
go to the NFL or prepare for the NFL, which makes sense to me anyway. I probably would have did that anyway, but that's neither here nor there. Um, and then you have that ACC. What do we think about Notre Dame versus Clemson? What do we think? Because Trevor Lawrence was not available because of COVID protocol. They
Oh,
almost lost to Clemson with the backup quarterback
the
in.
backup quarterback threw for 450 yards. Trevor Lawrence was not the difference in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot tell me that Trevor Lawrence would have done significantly better than their backup did.
Yeah.
I really like Notre Dame to win this game. Just,
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
if the backup would have come in and let's say that Notre Dame wins by 3 still or 6 or whatever it was, one score, but the backup was at like a 60% completion rate with 250 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Then you look at that stat line and go, yeah, well, I mean, he played well, but I mean, he didn't play like Trevor Lawrence. But I mean, the guy had 450 yards and 5 touchdowns. I mean, what, you think Trevor Lawrence is going to throw for 460 and give you 6 and that's going to be the difference in the game?
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
I don't like the Trevor Lawrence hype. If we would have had Trevor Lawrence, we would have won that game. Well,
Yeah,
no, if your defense could have stopped Notre Dame, you would have won that game.
that game. Yeah,
That was the difference. So I like Notre Dame to win again, even with Trevor Lawrence in there.
okay.
But I mean, I'm not super confident in that. I mean, you got to pick a winner, and that's where I'm going to go. But Trevor Lawrence also brings an X factor. He's a 3-year starter. He's the heart and soul of that team, and having him on the field will be different. It affects more than the stat line.
Okay, because Ian Book did what that game? Let's see what Ian Book did that game. Ian Book's been playing very well. I wasn't the biggest fan of Ian Book, but he's not played. He's played.
Well, and he's been flying under the radar too, but he only has like 3 losses in 3 years
Yeah,
or
that's what
something
I'm
like
saying.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird. He threw for 310 and
you
one
know,
touchdown, but like I said, they couldn't stop. They couldn't stop Notre Dame. So
yeah,
okay. So you have Clemson losing to Notre Dame. Okay, so
yeah.
that holds out. So we know Bama's going to win. I just don't see Florida stopping them at all, and we know that Clemson's going to win. Okay, the Big Ten I think is more of a toss up than people think it is because Ohio
Yeah.
State has not played anybody
Well,
and played very well.
yeah, and they're going to be coming off a month off going into the conference championship.
Oh
I
my
mean,
goodness. Yeah, that rust is real. The rust is probably going to be very significant. So
yeah,
that's up in the air.
you want to look at Russ. Look at the stats from Iowa's first 2 games versus their last 6. I mean, and the Russ was real.
Yeah, yeah, it's just like that sometimes. So we have an SEC champ. We know it's going to be um,
Yeah,
Alabama.
Bam is in.
Yeah, Bama's in. So unless Florida miraculously finds their defense, which I don't think they're going to do, or Mac Jones just has a horrible game, which I don't think he's going to do. We just don't see it. And then we have the ACC. You think you think Clemson's going to lose to Notre Dame, so then we're just going to pencil Notre Dame in. Excuse me. The Big Ten. Who?
Yeah, I don't.
That's where it gets interesting. Let's just say Northwestern beats. Let's just make a bold prediction, and I'll say Northwestern beats Ohio State.
That the Big Ten doesn't get into the playoff.
Then the Big Ten doesn't get in the playoff. So now you have 2 spots left, right? So who do you get those 2 spots to? Florida would have 2 losses, so you stick them out.
Clemson would have 2 losses. I think if Notre Dame and Bama both win and Ohio State loses, and then Iowa State and Cincinnati win, I think Iowa State and Cincinnati get the 3 and 4 spot.
Okay.
And the other outside there, and me personally, I'd put Iowa State in by virtue of the conference championship.
Mm-hmm.
But
A&M?
they could backdoor A&M in that situation.
Okay.
I wouldn't really like it because I think winning the Big 12 should mean something.
Yeah.
But it's like the Oklahoma argument last year. I mean, nobody expected Oklahoma. Sorry, I know I'm talking shit on your team, but
Okay.
yeah, nobody expected Oklahoma to win a playoff game.
Yeah, the
But
defense just
yeah, but they won the Big 12. You had to give them a spot,
yeah.
and
And it's
that
Oklahoma and they travel well and it's Oklahoma. Like that
yeah,
name
yeah.
holds a lot of weight. So yeah, the defense. Now this year's defense is playing very well. They're playing extremely well. But we have a young quarterback and all that. But anyway, so do you think a Big 12 champ would get in? Let's say, for instance, we have Notre Dame and Bama in. Whoever wins the Big 12, they get in? And then Cincinnati? No?
I don't think Oklahoma can jump enough spots.
Okay, it's the spots. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think if Oklahoma wins, then it's Cincinnati and A&M.
Okay, but if Ohio State wins, it's
if Iowa State beats Oklahoma again and Ohio State loses, then Iowa State will definitely be in. I think Cincinnati gets a spot too.
okay.
I could see them. I don't, because you got public perception weighs in on this as much as they don't want to say it does. And I think it'd be really hard to put Texas A&M in ahead of Cincinnati.
Yeah, it would be. Now, I'm going to throw this out there with you, Garrett. I'm going to throw this out there. Would they have a scenario? This is going to sound funny. Would they put Ohio State in just because it's Ohio State?
I hope not. But
okay. I mean, it's one law.
It's a money business. It's a money business, but I don't see how you can put a 5-1 Ohio State team in the playoff.
Okay.
It's back to the Pac-12 deal. It had to be Oregon, and they had to run the table.
Yeah, they had to.
That was the only way that they were even going to have a chance, and it's the same way with. I mean, if Ohio State would have played a full schedule, the championship game at 8-0, and then lost the championship game, and we're sitting at 8-1. That's a different discussion, but. Yeah, at 5-1 and losing the championship, and the only quality win you have is Indiana by a touchdown. Yeah, because I think that's the other thing that really hurts Texas A&M for getting into the playoff is they lost to Alabama by 38 fucking points. I might not be right on the total, but it was a lot.
I think it was like 45 to 24 or something like that. Yeah, I'm going to check that for you, but it was a lot.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, I think we'd be having a different conversation about A&M's possibilities on getting in if they had lost to Alabama by 7.
Yeah, 52 to 24. Okay, so I was almost right.
Yeah. Yeah, so 28 point loss to Alabama. And I can't remember because I watch a lot of football games, but I'm pretty sure that like midway through the third quarter, Alabama had a 40-point lead and A&M just got some garbage time points up. After the game was decided.
Okay, so let's look at your final. Okay, so give me your predictions on your final four. So this is the end of the show. We're going to predict we talked about every scenario. We've jumped in and dived in all these scenarios. So at the end of the show, we're gonna give our final four. So give me your final four.
I think Alabama beats Florida and they get in.
Okay.
Notre Dame beats Clemson and Clemson's out. Notre Dame is in.
Okay.
It's more of a trap game, like you said. If I had to pick an upset out of those top 3, I would pick Ohio State, but I think they're going to beat Northwestern. And if Northwestern was undefeated, I might feel a little differently.
Okay.
But I can't remember who it was, but they just straight shit the bed and lost to somebody they shouldn't have.
Okay.
I can't remember if it was last week or the week before. So I think Ohio State pulls that one out and they're in, and it doesn't matter. They can win 3-2 and they're going to get in as long as they win. Okay. And then I think Iowa State beats Oklahoma and gets into that 4th spot.
Okay. So they lost to Michigan State. By the way, a couple
Yeah.
weeks ago. So yeah,
Welcome to 2020. Did you see Michigan State's stat line against the spread?
no, what was it?
They were like 14-point favorites against Minnesota and lost. They were 21-point underdogs to Michigan and won. I think the spread was like 3 points against Iowa, and they lost by like 4. They lost like 35-7, I believe. I think it was. And then they were like 20-point underdogs to Northwestern, and they beat them.
Wow.
So if you want Michigan State to win a football game, apparently they need to be at least 2-score underdogs.
I bet the money return on that Northwestern game was ridiculous.
Yeah,
I bet
but
the money return was ridiculous.
I consider myself a fairly diehard Iowa fan, and I do a fair amount of gambling. I'm not betting Iowa money line when they are a 2-point underdog, because there's a reason they're a 2-point underdog.
I agree. All right, here's my bold prediction for the college football playoff. This is my bold prediction. I have Bama beating Florida. They can't stop anybody. I have Notre Dame beating Clemson. Ian Book is hot right now. I like Ian Book. I like the way he's playing. I think he should be in the Heisman talk if he's not already in the Heisman discussion. I like Northwestern beating Ohio State. I'm going to throw that out there. That's my bold prediction. If Northwestern beats Ohio State, guess what? Northwestern's going to get in. You have to reward the Big Ten champ, right? Yeah, hopefully. Do we know?
I thought we were just making predictions, but I don't think Northwestern gets in even if they win.
Oh, my goodness. What? Oh,
They got to jump 10 spots. You think beating Ohio State gives them 10 spots in the rankings? See,
do you not reward the Big Ten champ?
No, they don't care about the Big Ten.
Okay. Only in basketball, right? You guys only get 10 teams in the NCAA every year because of your conferences are so strong. I mean, your conference is so strong in basketball. Only basketball, right? Okay. Joe Lunardi loves the Big Ten. He put 10 teams in last year, you know what I mean, before the pandemic happened. But you guys
there's 64 teams in the NCAA tournament. Not four.
10 spots, possibly 11, maybe. That's your whole conference almost.
There's 14 of them in there. There's 3 teams left out in that scenario.
What's the percentages of that? What's 11 and 14? That's like what's 80%, 70% of your teams get in. I mean,
in all fairness, the Big Ten is tough this year in
basketball. Yeah. You guys are ranked third right now, right? Iowa's ranked third right now.
Yeah, Iowa, Illinois, January 29th. Mark that day on your calendar. That's going to be a fucking game, boys.
Cockburn against Garza.
Yeah. Yep.
That's gonna be real good. But I'll say this. Okay, so I have Bama in. I have Notre Dame in. Northwestern beats Ohio State, and I'll say Northwestern doesn't get in. Cincinnati gets in, so I'll put Cincinnati in there. They'll play, of course, Alabama because they'll be the 4 seed. You know, I conflict with this a lot, but I'll have OU beating Iowa State. I'll have that because, you know, I can't bet against University of Oklahoma. I just can't do it. Just like you wouldn't bet against Iowa State, right? In that scenario, you picked Iowa State, so I'm picking Oklahoma.
That's fine.
Who is the 3? Like, okay, so I'll say the 3 is a big. Oh goodness, this is hard.
I think A&M gets it. If Oklahoma beats Iowa State and Northwestern beats Ohio State, I think that gives Texas A&M an in.
Okay, so we'll have A&M at the 3 seed. Okay, yeah. So that'd be my prediction. Because I just don't think I'll stick by whoever wins the Big 12. I'll stick by them not getting in. I'm just going to stick by that because it's a 2-loss team. I know how you feel, but I'm just saying it's 2 losses. And I think the committee is going to look at see how strong the SEC is and try to put 2 teams from the SEC in some type of way. I just think the committee is going to do that. They've shown that they're not scared to put in those teams, but I don't think they're going to put a 2-loss team in a college football playoff. It's never been done, but it's 2020.
So if Bama wins, Notre Dame wins, Oklahoma wins, and Ohio State wins, do you see them going like
Cincinnati and Ohio State play each other. Will play each other.
you think you're going to get Cincinnati in there instead of a Texas A&M? Because I think it comes back to I think you do in that situation.
Okay.
I think Cincinnati goes in ahead of Texas A&M as long as they beat Tulsa.
Yeah, I think that too. And I want to say that the committee really wants to put Cincinnati in because they're like so close. You know what I mean? They're so freaking close to getting in. I think the committee wants to put them in.
Do you think if Cincinnati and Iowa State wins, they'll jump Cincinnati over Iowa State?
Now, see, the quality of win for Iowa State would be too high against Oklahoma.
And where I'm looking at, like me personally in that situation, I think you would give it to Cincinnati. But what I think is going to happen is I think it's going to go to Iowa State because they got Iowa State ranked ahead of Cincinnati, and like we're circling back around. Time's a flat circle, but I don't think Cincinnati gets ahead of Iowa State unless Iowa State loses.
Okay.
Because I mean they already got them ahead of them, and you can't say that beating Tulsa is enough to jump Iowa State if Iowa State beats Oklahoma.
But can you say beating Tulsa is enough to jump? Can you say that Oklahoma beating Iowa State is enough for Oklahoma to jump Cincinnati?
See that now. Do you want to know what I think, or do you know what I think is going to happen? Because
give me both scenarios. Give me both scenarios, and we're going to wrap it up. But give me both scenarios.
I think you'd almost have to because it comes back to they're going to look how you play at the end of the year as much as they say they look at the whole schedule. There is recency bias. And regardless of who wins Iowa State, Oklahoma, whichever team's going to be riding a 6-game winning streak into the postseason. So shaky starts, finish strong on both sides. So if it was up to me, I would say yes, that Oklahoma has to jump Cincinnati in that situation. However, due to the fact that they have Cincinnati currently ranked like 4 spots ahead of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
I don't think that's I got it right here. Let's see. Yeah, because Oklahoma's at 11 and Cincinnati's at 8.
Okay.
So from the playoff committee perspective, if Iowa State loses, I don't think and Cincinnati wins, I don't think Oklahoma is going to jump ahead of Cincinnati if they both win.
Okay. So it's gonna be very dicey because the one team I know for sure that's not going to lose is Alabama. But Florida's not going to find their defense in 2 weeks. It just pains me to say it because I love Kyle Trask. I love the Cal to Cal connection. I just don't see their defense stopping Alabama. It's just not going to happen. What I would like to see, I would love to see Northwestern, even though Trey Sermon is the running back for Ohio State. So I do cheer for him and I do cheer for Justin Fields. And Trey Sermon is the grad transfer from the University of Oklahoma. I would love to see Northwestern beat Ohio State. I would love to see that. Now, the scenario that plays on after that is going to be very tough to predict, but I would love to see that. Do I want to see Texas A&M in the playoff? That loss to Bama was bad, but they've played very well. But Bama's beating everybody like that this year. I mean,
for A&M to have a shot, either Bama, well, no, it doesn't matter because if Bama loses, they're in anyway. But Ohio State would have to lose, and I really think that Iowa State would have to lose also.
Okay.
Because right now they got A&M at 5 and Ohio State at 7. And I think if Ohio State gets another quality win against Oklahoma and the conference championship, that's enough to jump Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Because right now on the 4 outside, you have Texas A&M, Florida, Iowa State, Cincinnati. So if Florida loses and Iowa State loses and Cincinnati wins
Mm-hmm.
and Ohio State loses, then I think you're looking at Texas A&M and Cincinnati in the 3 and 4 spots.
Okay.
Because
It's gonna be dicey because
yeah, I mean,
I think Northwestern's going to upset Ohio State, and I think that's where the controversy is going to start. That's going to
yeah.
be
Oh yeah,
controversy.
Northwestern upsets Ohio State. It all goes out the window.
Woo. If
Because
Clemson upsets Notre Dame, that's going to cause some controversy as well.
yeah, because I mean, I think you got to put Notre Dame out if that happens.
Okay.
I mean, I probably stick them at number 5 in the final rankings, but I think you got to put them out.
Okay.
Unless Oklahoma knocks off Iowa State, but then you got Cincinnati right there undefeated. So, sir, what the playoff committee wants to happen, they want Bama to win.
Yep.
What they want to happen, they want Bama to win. Mm-hmm. They want Notre Dame to win because that just makes it easy. Clemson's out; they have 2 losses.
They want Ohio State to win.
They want Ohio State to win because they want the Big Ten in the playoff. Not bad enough to jump Northwestern 10 spots if they win, but they want. But all Ohio State has to do is win. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's a 3-2 final score. As long as Ohio State wins, they're in. And then that 4th spot, I don't really think they care that much who wins the Big 12 game for that 4th spot. If Iowa State wins, they get it. If Iowa State loses, Cincinnati gets it.
Okay.
I mean, it's fairly cut and dry. You can't really argue with it. I mean, the Texas A&M people will be a little upset, but they don't have a conference championship. Cincinnati's undefeated. So, I mean, that gives – and it's kind of the same thing. If Iowa State wins, I think they jump – well, Florida would have a loss in that situation, so they jump Florida, and then they jump Texas A&M just because they beat Oklahoma State, they beat Texas, they beat Oklahoma twice, they got the conference championship. That sneaks Iowa State up into the 4th spot ahead of A&M. And I really think the only people that are going to argue with that too much are Texas A&M people. You know?
Yeah, they're gonna be up in arms about that.
Yeah, because they got a 1-loss team. But I'm sorry, you lost by 30 points.
Oof, it was ugly.
That's a bad loss.
That's a real bad loss. Yeah, that's really what we think, guys. That's what we think might happen in the college football playoffs, might not happen. We had hot takes, we had great discussion. I want to thank you, Garrett, so much for coming on.
Anytime. I had a blast. So anytime you got anything to talk about that's not NBA, let me know.
Okay, I got you. If I call college basketball, I'll bring you on because the Big Ten is stacked. Of course, they're stacked. This year, Joe Lunardi loves the Big Ten. So you guys,
I don't know what. It's ridiculous because ESPN hates Big Ten football and loves Big Ten basketball. It's crazy.
I don't understand it either, but hey, this is where we are. This is how it is. And we had great discussion. Before we go, we got to pay the bills. You see it going across your screen. teespring.com/stores/unwrapped. I said that,
you nailed it. You nailed it.
You guys go get some gear. You got some Unwrapped Sports gear. Go get some gear, guys. Support the movement, support the brand. We really, really appreciate it. Also, mybookie.ag. Get on there, do some betting. Use the code USN100 and get a 100% sign-up bonus. Got Alex and Corey doing bets Unwrapped. Unwrap These Bands is coming back. So if you need to know how to bet, learn how to bet, get hooked up with the Unwrapped Sports Network, and we can teach you how to win some money for the holidays, guys. And also, Sore Achy Muscles. It's getting cold outside. You're not as young as you used to be. Use that code on rxhemp.com. Use the code rxhemp/USN and get 10% off your order. Now, we are signing off. Garrett, go ahead and plug your things in one more time.
At Garrett from Iowa on Twitter, and Sportscaster is where I stay active. Mainstream is the People's XFL show. I say my mainstream. That's my show. I co-host that with Midnight Moose. Catch us every Wednesday at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. And you pay attention on my Twitter. I think this is the 6th stream I've done this week, so I'm staying busy. So just pay attention to the Twitter. You want hot takes on NFL, XFL, college football, college basketball, any of that? Just follow along and follow Unwrapped Sports Network. And thank you guys for listening.
We really appreciate you guys for listening. Next week, I'm going to be talking women's college hoops. All episode, I'm going to bring somebody on to talk women's college hoops. So this show was dedicated to college football playoff. I usually do ladies first, but this episode was dedicated to college football playoff. I had an episode dedicated to the NBA draft with Nick from the Unwrapped Sports Network. But next week, I'm going to try to get a guest for women's college basketball so we can talk everything women's hoops. I appreciate Garrett so much. We appreciate you.
Real quick, one request. Next week, you guys shout out my girl from Iowa that's just tearing it up. I can't remember her name right. Like Caitlin something or another. She is just on fire. Look her up.
Okay, I will. They don't show, I don't know why they don't show women's Big Ten basketball that much anymore. I don't understand that, but that's neither here nor there. We will shout her out, Garrett. Don't worry about it. And this is episode 16 of Ladies First. I will be back next week with episode 17, and you guys have a good night.